Hello. It's a very windy day today, so I'm hiding under the trees here. Let's talk a bit more about reality and the mind, because they are two very different things. And if you're wondering, the reason I keep talking about this all the time from all different aspects, and the reason I share wisdom quotes about this, and the reason I create all my content around this, basically, is because it's by recognizing how the mind works that you change your relationship with it, that you become less invested in it. And ultimately, this wakes you up from living in the world of your mind. And when that happens, you find yourself instantly present, delightfully present, where life feels so different. It's so much kinder. Firstly, it's important to understand that there's usually two things happening at the same time. There's what's happening, the circumstances, situations, events, etc. And then there's what the mind has to say about it. These are two very different things. And when we don't recognize the difference, it leads to a lot of trouble, a lot of problems, which we then have to try and figure out how to solve. You see, most of the suffering and the stress comes from the mind's commentary. The mental narrative, we're all so familiar with that, aren't we? Not the actual event itself. This is where we get caught up. You know how I go on and on about realize that you're not your thoughts, you're the awareness behind them. You're the one who's aware of your thoughts and feelings. And of course, it's so easy to sort of roll your eyes and say, well, of course I know that. I know I'm not my thoughts and my feelings. But before you know it, a second later, you're getting caught up in them, which means that in that moment, you are so identified with them that you sort of become one with your thoughts and feelings. You know, if you have a stressful thought and you forget that you are the one who is aware of the thought, if you forget that deeper aspect of yourself, then suddenly you become consumed with that thought, right? It happens to all of us. Don't feel guilty or, judge yourself for it. It happens to all of us. It's just part of being human, being alive, right? Imagine that a loved one has fallen ill, or this could even be about your own health. So there's a problem. Let's say the person is in hospital and they're having some treatment done. This is what's actually happening. And I think we're all very familiar with what the mind will do in this situation. It will run into the future quite often and think of all the most terrible things that could happen. In fact, I experienced this last year when my mother became gravely ill. And even though I have a pretty healthy relationship with my mind and I recognize what it gets up to most of the time so it doesn't bother me, I was still having thoughts of being at the funeral. This is what the mind does. It prepares you for what might happen. But if you don't recognize that what the mind is saying is different from what's actually happening, then there's a whole load of unnecessary stress and pressure that you can experience. This is what we want to be aware of. This is what we can avoid simply by understanding how our human experience works. So this person is in hospital and it's a troubling time. It's a scary time, a time of uncertainty, perhaps a time of sadness and regret. about how things could have been different. You know, what if this hadn't happened? Well, there's another thing right there. The mind is going to go into all of that as well, quite often, which is so unhelpful, isn't it? Because it has happened. And in fact, if you're spending a lot of time thinking in this way about how things could have been different and about what may happen, if you're spending so much time in this dream of your mind, you're using up energy which you then don't have to deal with the actual situation and with what's happening. It's depleting your capacity. Now, the truth is, it is a particularly difficult time when we have a loved one in the hospital or if we're unwell ourselves. So please take these words in the way that they are meant to be taken, with love and compassion. It's so important to connect with that deeper part of you, that truer part of you, that part of you that doesn't go up and down, that part of you that doesn't depend on your circumstances. If we don't wake up to what's happening in our experience, we remain so ingrained in what the mind is saying. It keeps us from being present with the one we love, present with ourselves, present with life's unfolding. It's very important not to miss life's unfolding. It's very important not to be distracted from the people you're with. And it's crucial to be able to connect with who you really are. The mind will do its thing. We're not trying to fight the mind here. We're not trying to destroy the ego. We're not trying to fix ourselves or make ourselves better. These, again, are all things that will keep you in this dream of the mind. So what can I do, you might say? It's all very well me making these videos and giving you all this advice, but how do you actually put it into practice? Well, those of you who have watched some of my videos know what I'm going to say next. And those of you who haven't, pay close attention, because this is very important and it must never get old. The easiest and simplest way to wake up from the dream of the mind is to take a conscious breath. In that moment, when you turn your attention to breathing, you start to follow the breath. When you follow the breath, you no longer follow your thoughts. You see? When you follow the breath, you're not following your thoughts. And the breath is the easiest way because it's always with you. It's always with you in this moment. It's an anchor of presence. The thing is, there are so many things that happen in life that can be really challenging and difficult to deal with without having to add extra stress and pressure onto that event. If I realize this and I remember in that moment to take a little breath or just come back to this moment in some way, touching what's real, what's here, something grounded. Nature's wonderful for this. Nature's always inviting you to be present. Then I can be in this place of wisdom, You see, wisdom can rise up here because there isn't this loud brass band going on. This place of presence is a lot quieter than that other place where you were a minute ago. In this place, you're more likely to hear the voice of wisdom. Which will guide you inwardly with a sense of knowing about what step to take, what direction to move in, how to best support your loved one. And you know what it's like, right? When someone is speaking at you from this place of stress, even though they love you, it's not necessarily very helpful compared to what they might say when they are calm and centered. Then you're probably more likely to listen, aren't you? Because you know that what they say is coming from a different place. So today, this week, the rest of your life, preferably, pay attention to the difference between what's happening and what your mind is saying about it. So here's an exercise for you. Notice when your mind has something to say about what's happening. Notice how it's adding something to the event. Notice how it's distorting reality. And it does this very effectively. It's very easy to get caught out. It really is like virtual reality. It's very convincing. But notice and keep noticing, because every time you notice, I have some thoughts around this, but that's not the facts. That's not what's happening right now. Those are just my thoughts about it. Every time you notice this, it creates space in your world. And you actually come back to presence every single time you notice. You come back. And that's what I mean when I say come back. Again and again and again. Keep coming back. Never get tired of coming back. This is our journey every day. Moody says, the only journey there is from mind to heart. And it's so true. We're all in this thing called life together, aren't we? And we have a lot of the same experiences. And we can really help each other out by sharing them. So I greatly appreciate it when you leave a comment and share something about your experience. Thank you for being here. And if there's something in particular you'd like me to do a video about, as long as it's in line with what this channel is all about, I'd be delighted for the suggestion. Today I want to talk to you about something really important. Well, to be fair, pretty much every week it's about something really important, isn't it? If you'd like to explore these teachings more deeply, I invite you to visit my website, where you'll find a growing collection of free resources to support living with more awareness, intuition, and presence in everyday life. And this month I'm sending out the very first set of Delightfully Present monthly wisdom cards. You can explore everything at delightfullypresent.com.